this is gonna be our last video for now. We'll probably add on to this if we continue doing modeling and for future photo shoots and that kind of thing. But our final video is gonna be on our pole sit options and some of our more inverted options. None of them are gonna be true inversions, just so you know, and some climb options. Please keep in mind, you are only gonna do these for our poses if you feel confident holding them and if you have done them in class before. In front of a group of people, when you have to hold a trick for a longer period of time, is not the time to try something that you have never done before. Because the likelihood of that going wrong, of you dropping yourself unexpectedly, of you ending up in a position where the longer you hold it, the more damage you do to your hips, knees, elbows, or thighs, or hands, then the more likely that is. So, we're gonna start with just some of our basic sits, and then we're gonna talk about some of our climb shapes, and then some of our more advanced sits. With my basic sit, the easiest kind of cheat way to do this is gonna be to just keep one foot on the floor. So I'm gonna walk into my thighs, cross one leg over the other, nice big lean, and I'm just gonna keep that bottom foot on the floor. That way I can release one hand, we can lean out dramatically backwards or to the side. If I want to make this sit a little bit more advanced, I'm gonna take that up into the air. So either just from a lift or from a pull-up, we're not gonna jump, because it's really easy with jumps to pelvic check that pole, and that will hurt, so we don't necessarily want to do that. Remember with sits, we're aiming for the widest part of the thighs. So if you're gonna do sits, you will be wearing shorts for this. If you do not wanna do sits, if you're planning to just do stands and floor-based things, then you're welcome to obviously wear leggings. But I can come up into a straight leg sit with a nice big lean. I can cross my legs and stay slightly higher up. I can bring that back arm around to the front in order to release both hands. We can also do any variation or leg change from there, whether we want them bent or straight. Is gonna be thigh burning, just keep that in mind. Your thighs are what's taking most of the pressure, so all the movement isn't necessarily hard physically, muscle-wise. It is hard pain tolerance-wise. Some of our other sit shapes, we did that knot where we came around the front. We can also do our mermaid, where I'm gonna pop my chest around the pole. So I'm gonna cross at the ankles, and then I'm gonna slide underneath my top arm and reach for my ankles. This top hand can stay. It's a very pretty stretch, or that top hand can come out to the side. Once again, big thigh hold, heels back towards glutes, free hand, holding those heels to help keep them in, holding the top of the foot to help keep it in place. With our climbs, we can obviously climb to our crucifix bow, or our flamingo variations. So, this also depends on how much skin contact you want to have. Climbs and our holds, especially our flamingos and our hood ornaments, work better the more skin contact we have. So keep in mind when you plan out your tricks what it is you want to wear and what it is you're comfortable wearing. With my climb, we do want to try to get off the ground with this. You control your own height. Keep in mind the X stage does have an open top. So while you can climb up above the top of the pole, I wouldn't necessarily advise you to do so because it does mean you've lost all your contact points. And if we were to slide unexpectedly and lean forwards, we can create an impact point for our chest, our neck, or our face if we are above the top of that pole. We'll talk about that a little bit more once we have it set up in person. But I'm just gonna go from single climbs for all of these tricks. You're obviously welcome to use more climbs the day of if you would like to. So I'm gonna prep my climb. Nice big drive up. We can release for crucifix. We can come around the pole for crucifix. If you are posing and you slide, That's okay. Continue to hold the pose even when your toes hit the ground. I can still do crucifix from here. I can come around from here. I don't have to do that in the air, especially if you find over time as the room gets warm, the pole gets a little bit slippery. So those are our crucifix. My crucifix fold is going to be that come around, and then we're going to hinge at the waist and try and wrap our hands around our knees. Keep in mind perspective-wise, that is a more interesting shape from the side versus from the front. Because then you actually have some body parts to look at as opposed to just the back of your head, or if you're doing it backwards, just your booty. From our climbs, we can also come around into our hood ornament. So I can go into my climb, bring my hips around the pole, hook that inside leg, outside arms go straight. With our hood ornament, we have loads of variations for this. It just kind of is dictated by how long you can hold it and how slippery the pole feels. I'm obviously really slippery today, so everything's sliding, but ideally these would go up and hold. So with that hood ornament, I'm coming up, wrapping around the pole, inside leg hooks, outside leg to the back, and then we can release those hands. Other variations of this would be hands out in front, hands staying on, or one hand forwards and one hand back. We can also, if we felt really stable, re-grip with that front arm and bring this outside leg up so we could grab it. Once again, if we haven't worked on those in close, now is not the time to try it for the first time. Also, if you are wearing shoes, do not put the entirety of your weight into your shoes. Just because they are leather or pleather and they are sticky doesn't mean that that little bit of vinyl over a suede backing is going to be able to support your body weight. A really good way to totally wreck a pair of shoes is to expect that shoe to somehow replace your skin contact and become the main thing that's holding you. That's not the job of your shoes. Your shoes are just there to look good. They're not there as an anchor for a trick. From those climb options, we're going to move into our jagged edges and our jasmines and our double knee hangs. So with our jagged edge, that's kind of our jasmine training that we have done before. So we're hooking that inside leg. My outside arm comes to the ground or to the mat. The other leg is going to lift. And then I'm going to lift that outside arm. When we look up at the ceiling, that arm could even stay on the pole if you need it to. We could hook one leg over the other if you need that little bit of extra skin contact. And then to safely dismount, we're just going to drop that bottom leg and slide down. That's a nice trick transition to go from one shape to a floor shape to give yourself a break. Keep in mind as you build your shapes that you will want to give yourself breaks, give yourself rest. Don't do all of your aerial tricks one after another. Give yourself time on the floor to catch your breath, to wipe down your pole, to grab a drink before you go into the next thing. With that jagged edge, we also, of course, have true jasmine. So that inside arm is going to drop down underneath my legs. My goal is to have as much separation between my bottom leg and my bottom arm as possible. And that top arm can release, or that bottom arm can release, depending on if you want to do side star or if you want to do jasmine. So the prep for the two tricks is the same. Bottom arm in bracket grip, drive that leg up. Jasmine, I'm gonna release that top arm. Side star, I'm gonna release the bottom arm. With our jasmine, it is gonna be lower to the ground. I stress this once again. If you feel confident and have worked with me before on your climb to your jasmine, and you would like to go into jasmine higher up, you can do so. So that would be from our single climb or our double climb. Nice big push away, knee hook, and we can drop into that jasmine a little bit lower. And then we can slide it down to dismount. The final aerial trick that we can do outside of laybacks. Laybacks are an option. Just keep in mind how uncomfortable those are before you necessarily commit to one. Is going to be our double knee hang. So with my double knee hang, it's going to start like Jasmine. We're just hooking both knees, coming into that genie shape. A nice big hook. Bottom knee then also hooks, and I can keep both arms up. I can release that top arm to come into a fun little handstand shape. Keep in mind how long you want to hold it for before you commit to any of those upside down shapes. We also have our handstand and forearm stand shapes. These are options that I want to give you, but please keep in mind the amount of time you have to spend upside down. We are looking to hold these tricks for as long as possible. So before you commit to doing this on June 10th, I would encourage kicking up into a handstand on a wall, working on being upside down, time yourself, and come down when you feel like you've lost stability, and check and see how long that was. If it was only 10 seconds, this maybe isn't a trick that you want to hold for an artist. If you can hold it and you're pushing 20, 30, 40 seconds, then this is a trick that we can consider having part of our kind of routine for June 10th or for future drawing classes. And remember, you can always work on handstands at home to build up that amount of time you can spend upside down. Handstand or forearm stand. I always say handstand. You can always come to those forearms instead if you need to. So, with my inverted handstand shapes, we can come into this from our laybacks if you are comfortable using your laybacks, or we can kick up or lift up into this. If I want to face my pole for some pretty shapes, I'm just gonna, I call it wagon wheeling into it, from like when you were little kids. Someone took your feet, it's that same concept, where I would come down and then place one shin up the pole, and then the other leg can lift. The closer I am to the pole, the harder that balance is going to be because of my positioning. So keep that in mind with the kind of lines you want to create. We can be straight, or we can have nice big back arches the closer we are to the pole. To come down, it's just one foot and then the other. And once again, we can do that from our forearms. The other option is a deadlift or a kick up. Please keep in mind with your kick ups, if you're not comfortable doing these, if I normally have to help you by taking one leg, this is not the place for this trick quite yet. But we're gonna turn our back to our poles, and then come up, bringing the back to the pole as much as possible, and then lifting one leg to find the pole. So we can obviously do handstands, fangs, and straddles here. We can also, and catch the pole or let it work, there we go. Go into bow and arrows, using that leg to try and help that stabilization. Nice gentle drop down when we're done. If you can't get out of it with control, we're not going to use it this time around. So, I think that is the majority of our sits, climbs, and inverted tricks. So the slightly more advanced tricks that can be an option for June 10th. If you see any of these tricks and you're like, hey, I really like that one, but I don't really remember it, you do have until Friday for us to go over those. Or you can always shoot me a message and say, hey, I think I've done this one. Could you just confirm that this is a trick that I can probably do? If you aren't entirely sure after being with me for a couple of years or a couple of months, which tricks you have or don't have. If you are still attending level 1 classes, or if you only attend the Wednesday night classes, then you're going to be staying mainly floor and standing, since you don't do trick-based classes to build up that strength. If you are a level 2 or a level 3 client, you're welcome to work on those climbs and any of the handstands and more upside down style of work, just as kind of a rule of thumb. The only one I forgot to talk about were our flamingos. So with our flamingos just from the ground or from a climb, my back leg is staying where it is, my front leg is coming up, sole of foot to pole, like I'm a flamingo. And we can come out to the side, we can come to the front, or we can reach for that knee to be a sleeping flamingo. So from a climb, I would come up, wrap that leg around, and then I could create whichever shapes I would like to from there. I think that's everything for these sets of poses. As I said, we'll probably continue adding to these videos over time. This picture perfect playlist for future modeling or figure drawing classes. And just as photo shoot reference, should we decide at some point we want to do studio photo shoots, or you on your own want to do a photo shoot? Thank you all so much. And I'm really excited for this kind of next step in the studio's relationship with the halter. Bye.